Clark. And Charles Johnson back to receive the kick for OSU. And the kick will go to Clark about 3 yards deep in the end zone. Drops it, picks it up, decides to run it out. And he is brought down at the 11-yard line by number 46 for the Buffs. That's Paul Rose. So Oklahoma State will start with it at its own 11-yard line. At quarterback for the Cowboys, Kenny Ford, a junior. Cecil Wilson, the fullback, and Gerald Hudson, the tailback. Copeland is the tight end. Mayfield and Kirksey, the receivers. And on the line for the Cowboys, Eric, Bobo, Surratt, Hall, and Webb. They like to run it to the right. That's where their strength is on the offensive line. The pitch goes to Hudson. He's brought down for a 2-yard loss by Deion Figures. Good penetration by Figures. He seemed to know what was going on, what was going to come his way. For the CU Buffs on offense, the front seven are Marcellus Elder, Joel Steed, and Gary Howe. Alfred Williams, Greg Beaker, Terry Johnson, and Kanavis McGee at linebacker. And in the defensive backfield, Dave McLuhan, Figures, Tim James, and Greg Thomas. 2nd and 12 for Oklahoma State. Again, the give to Hudson. Dances his way up to the 14-yard line. Brought down by Gary Howe and a couple of other black shirts.
Gerald Hudson's a fine back, but the problems really for the Cowboy offense this year has been inconsistency at quarterback. They've played 3 different players. Kenny Ford, the starter today. Earl Wheeler has seen some action, and Chris Smith, the senior, has also played, but nobody's been able to step forward and really take command of that one position, and of course that's the key spot.
3rd and 7 for Oklahoma State. A single back. It's Hudson. And Ford will throw. Decides to scramble and gets it up to the 25-yard line. He does have the first down. Greg Beaker finally made the stop.
Against Nebraska, Oklahoma State rushed for over 150 yards, and a couple of times this was the most successful play. Kenny Ford has very good athletic ability, extremely quick, and this is a quarterback draw all the way. You get the upfield rush as everybody is funneled to the outside, and Ford, again, a terrific athlete, finds the daylight and picks up enough yards for the first down.
He's a fine runner. Oddly enough, he's gained more yards running than he has passing the ball. 1st and 10 for Oklahoma State from the 25-yard line. This time Ford will throw, and it's complete. No, not complete. Curtis Mayfield could not get the foot down.
And this is what you call lazy feet. Nice route by Mayfield, but you'll have a chance to see he easily could have got 1 foot down, maybe both feet, but he just kind of goes through the motion. And sometimes you can almost nonchalant a play, and it can cost you. Mayfield with the catch right there. Get that foot down. You can see the left foot lands out of bounds before the right toe drags, and thus an incomplete pass.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt a little too soon. I thought he could have gotten the foot down too. Although we should tell you that Mayfield has been hampered by a nagging hamstring injury. So maybe that was the problem there. 2nd and 10 for OSU from their own 25. Flags on the field. 4th sellout crowd of the year. More than 51,000 people here at Folsom Field. This is Ford from the shotgun. Almost intercepted by Tim James. Right in his hands, and Tim couldn't hold on to it.
Tried to get the ball to Scott Copeland, the tight end, and this is the guy he likes to go to. And Colorado, of course, with the defense, you can see 3 Buff defenders around the ball, and James almost pulls it in with the right hand. Kenny Ford is a guy that likes to run first and really has to get the running game established to be an effective quarterback. If you force him to drop back and throw the ball a lot, chances are you're going to be successful as a defense.
3rd and 15 for Oklahoma State. Ford is coming off a bruised shoulder he suffered last week against Kansas. In the shotgun. Throws a nice pass to Mayfield, and Mayfield can't hold on. Boy, he does throw a nice tight spiral, doesn't he?
That was a good-looking pass. Mayfield, right when the ball got to him, looked to see where Tim James was. You'll be able to see it. Watch his right head. An ISO on Mayfield. Good inside move. A cover 2. You got 2 deep. Now Mayfield, when he breaks in, watch when the ball gets there, watch where his head goes. Just dropped the ball right in his hands. Might not have been enough for the first down.
Kerry Blanchard back to punt for OSU. And Rico Smith is returning punts this week for CU. Bill McCartney not happy with the punt return team. Smith takes it at his own 40. Up across midfield. Oh, gets around the man to the sideline and down to the Oklahoma State 35-yard line. Rico Smith putting on a little dance move and gets an extra 10 yards out of it. A return of 26 yards for Smith.
Well, Rico Smith is probably the fastest buff, and watch the move he puts on Derek Jones. Right here, little stop, stutter step, and whoop, past him he goes. Actually, Jones had the initial shot, and that was Joe King, the cornerback. Pretty good move.
Darian Hagan at quarterback for the Buffs. A full house backfield. Bieniemy gets the call. He's got a seam, and he's got the sideline, and gets it inside the 30. Jay Fleischman brought him down. Here's the CU offense. We told you Hagan at quarterback. In the backfield, you have Eric Bieniemy, George Hemingway at fullback, and Michael Simmons the wingback. Your receivers are Pritchard and Sean Brown in for the injured John Bowman. On the offensive line, Ariel Solomon, Joe Garton, Leuenberg at center, Campbell, and Vanderpool. Well, Eric Bieniemy picked up a first down with that run, so once again it's 1st and 10 for the Buffs at the 27, and this is Bieniemy again. Down to the 22 before Mike Woolridge pulls him down. Here's the Oklahoma State defense for you. On the front line, you've got Gilden, Garmin, Satterwhite, and Bright at linebacker. Woolridge, Calhoun, and Ansley. And the DBs are Clark, King, Fleischman, and Werner. And we should tell you, it is an extremely young Oklahoma State defense. They start 4 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and 3 juniors. There's only 1 senior out there. 2nd and 5. Bieniemy again inside the 20 down to about the 18. He'll be short of the first down.
One of the things that was so impressive with last week's win in Nebraska, the fact that the offensive line for most of the game, and certainly in the fourth quarter, dominated the Cornhuskers up front with just straight lead blocking, man-on-man, knock them off the ball, and let a guy right there, Eric Bieniemy, pick and choose as where to cut back and where to hit it up in there. That's what CU can do today against an undersized Cowboy defense.
People have been successful running in against OSU. In fact, the Buffs offensive line outweighs the OSU defensive line by 50 pounds a man. 3rd and 2. Bieniemy once again picks up the first down inside the 15. Terry Henley, the tackle.
Bieniemy, a guy, again, with great vision. You line him back there in the eye. For all practical purposes, that's what it is. And you allow him to look and see where the softness of the defense is, where the push comes from the offensive line. That time, no need to cut back. You just right behind the left guard and left tackle, head it up in there.
And Eric Bieniemy with that run has just broken the CU single-season rushing record. He passes Charlie Davis on the list. 1st and 10 from the 19. Hagan on the option. He is smacked at about the 13. Richie Ansley does the smacking.
Ansley's a redshirt freshman out of Dallas, Texas, that they really like. He's got excellent speed and quickness, and that time got to Hagan right as Darian turned it upfield and decided not to make the pitch.
Ansley a good nose for the ball. It's 2nd down and 8. Just 2 running backs behind Hagan now. Inside the 10, but not much more. A gain of 3. Ansley once again with the tackle.
Cowboys early in the drive, I think, have really set the tone for what they need to do defensively. They have blitzed both inside linebackers each and every play. That's fine. You're going to make plays that way. You'll make some big plays, but you'll also give up some big plays before the afternoon's over.
Bill McCartney felt this Oklahoma State defense would take a lot of chances, do a lot of blitzing, show them defenses they haven't seen before, and that's what we're seeing so far. Hagan to a wide open George Hemingway for the touchdown. That was almost too easy, Dave.
Well, it was made possible by the fake inside, and again, the inside linebackers, watch them come. Both inside guys are on their way. The counter fake, and Hagan pulls up. A good block by Garten as he pulls, and the pass right on the money. Hemingway, the same play they used effectively against Nebraska, slips out into the flat uncovered.
Harper for the extra point. He hasn't missed one all year. And he gets that one also. And 6th mark of the first quarter. And returning for OSU from the goal line, that's Mike Clark. Hit by a host of buffs at approximately the 12. And once again, OSU starts with some pretty poor field position.
Take a look at the Colorado scoring drive. A short field because of the nice punt return by Rico Smith. 7 plays, 38 yards. Took him a little over 3 minutes, and that's what you cannot do against a ground attack like Colorado has. You've got to make them work on the long field. You've got to kick the ball when you have the chance. Make sure you cover and force a team like CU to drive 65, 70, 80 yards, and then you hope they make a couple of mistakes on the way.
Oklahoma State will start with it from its own 14-yard line. Kenny Ford, the quarterback. Hudson and Wilson, the running backs. And Mayfield and Kirksey are split out wide. Buffs jump off sides. There are flags. Hudson takes it across the 15 to Kirksey in motion. They give to Hudson. He's got a hole across the 20 to the 22. 23, call it.
We've talked about Gerald Hudson and his ability. Watch the move he makes at the line of scrimmage. Greg Biekert has him dead in his tracks right here. The cutback, Biekert on the ground, and that's something you just can't teach. Great backs can make plays like that. Good backs will get tackled and pick up 3 or 4 yards. And Hudson has terrific ability to make the right cut.
And he is a great back. You see every time he touches it, 5.5 yards a carry. He is the 3rd leading rusher in the nation, behind Eric Bieniemy and Darren Lewis of Texas A&M. 2nd and 2 for OSU. First man through is Wilson. He picks up the first down. However, there are flags on the field.
That's going to be an Oklahoma State. Scott Copeland, the tight end in motion, turned up too quickly.
Wide left. Nobody out wide right. And now Kirksey in motion. He's coming to the right. Ford keeps it, gets it across the 20. But well short of the first down.
Ford has got good running ability, but Colorado, much the same as the great Nebraska and Oklahoma defenses in the past, and even Nebraska this year, very tough to run wide on. They've got great team speed. You can see they're 2nd in the Big 8 against the rush, almost 117 yards per game, but it's almost easier to run between the tackles, run straight at them. When you take them wide, that team speed usually runs you down.
Well, and you've got those great athletes out there, and Alfred Williams and Canavis McGee, and they can run down just about anything. 3rd and 4. From the 20. They give us to Hudson, but he's stacked up quickly at the 22. Well short of the first down, and Oklahoma State will have to punt again. Alfred Williams made the stop.
Gary House got those shirts tucked up or cut off. Look like they do down in the South.
A good hand from the crowd, and it's well deserved. Well, it looks like Bill McCartney has decided to rotate his punt returners. Right now, back to receive the kick is senior Dave McClellan. Blanchard will do the punting. A nice high kick. McClellan calls for a fair catch. At the 44-yard line, we're going to take a break. At Folsom Field, the Buffs lead it 7-0. The team for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, they brought 60, and an incredible 22 of them are freshmen. First and 10 for the Buffs. Darian Hagan going deep to Pritchard, but he's overthrown.
Well, nice little play action fake. Actually, one of the better fakes that Bieniemy and Hagan have been able to hook up. Hagan hid the football. And, of course, the guy that you look for to make the big plays is Mike Pritchard. Got to get him the ball 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a game. Give him a chance to make something happen.
You bet every time he touches it, whether receiving or rushing, he gains 18 yards. This is Hagan on the option. Doesn't get very far. No gain. And George Bright brought him down.
And again, defensively, the Cowboys are giving up so much weight up front that they've got to gamble. They've got to take a lot of chances. And when you do that, you're going to make plays, such as you just saw. You're also going to give up big plays, long runs before you're done. And that's what Colorado has to hope for. You got to just keep working hard and realize they're going to win every now and then.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. And George Bright at right defensive end is just 211 pounds. 3rd and 8 for the Buffs from their own 46. Oklahoma State is blitzing. Hagan overthrows. He was hit just after he released the ball, trying to find Rico Smith. And the Buffs, for the first time this afternoon, will have to punt. Let's go down to the field and Mark McIntosh. Mark, what do you have?
Thank you, Les. You've noticed twice today the Buffs have run the option to the right side. That means Darian Hagan is exposing his left shoulder to contact. That's a good sign that his shoulder is now 100%. In the last few ball games, he has not been running the option to the right side, protecting that left shoulder, but today he is, so he must be almost 100% finally.
He's been fighting injuries all year. Tom Ruin gets off a decent punt. That's Mike Clark at the 9-yard line. I think a fair catch would have been the appropriate call there. Clark is hit right away, and he's down at the 14.
Nice to see Tom Ruin get a good kick, 45 yards. He has really struggled the last few weeks to have that consistency he had last year. And a pretty good job there by the Oklahoma State defense. Again, on a short field, Colorado only 55 yards away from their second touchdown, and they gambled a couple of times on 2nd and 3rd down. They made it work.
Oklahoma State has had the ball 3 times, and each time has had to start its drive inside its own 15. So terrible field position for the Cowboys all day. We have 5:38 to go in this first quarter. Buffs ahead 7-0. Kenny Ford, the quarterback for Oklahoma State. Hudson and Wilson, the running backs. The pitch to Hudson. He hits a brick wall at about the 17, and he's sent back to about the 14. Let's see where the officials mark it. Greg Beekert made the initial hit.
Good team defense. Watch Alfred Williams from the outside turn it in. 94. Watch him turn this back in. Not let Hudson take the outside. When he cuts back, the pursuit will meet him as Beekert, Joel Steed, and Gary Howe all get there. Again, you got to turn a pitch back inside to where you have help, and Hudson makes that cut, and he's greeted by 3 gold hats right there. Good overall team defense.
Beekert, the Buffs' leading tackler, and Joel Steed. How can we not mention him? He was the Big 8 Defensive Player of the Week last week against Nebraska. He is really coming on, just a junior. I would imagine if he keeps improving. I haven't seen any oranges yet, Dave, but I would assume if CU grabs a big enough lead, this field will get pelted with some fruit juice later on. The single back is Hudson. Ford pitches it to him. He fumbles the ball. Hudson fumbles the ball. I see a lot of black jerseys, but the Buffs aren't celebrating. So it looks like Oklahoma State retains possession.
I think it was Cecil Wilson, the one back, and Wilson, when he ducks up inside, is running straight up. The initial hit by Hamilton. The ball loose before Beekert gets there. The Cowboys are very fortunate just to get on the football. You can see number 22, Ronnie Fisher, another tailback, got it before CU could.
So it'll be 3rd and 6 for the Cowboys from their own 19. 4:15 to go in the first quarter. Ford throws it complete to Fisher. He is out at the 26, and I believe he has the first down.
Pretty simple play. Fisher lined up as the wingback in a 2-point stance in the backfield, just diagonally takes off right to the first down marker, and Ford makes a good throw. Kenny Ford's thrown the ball reasonably well today so far in the early going. He's had a couple of drops, and the thing Oklahoma State now wants to do, if not score, they want to gain field position so they can punt and push CU back a little bit. They also want to keep the Oklahoma State defense on the sideline and give them a little rest.
Gerald Hudson is back in the game for the Cowboys after sitting out a couple plays. 1st and 10 from the 21. Yellow flags all over the place.
Tight end jumped again.
It's going to be illegal procedure against Oklahoma
Dead ball.
State.
Illegal procedure. Offense. First down.
when you line up against Canavis McGee and or Alfred Williams, you want to get as quick a start as you possibly can, and
that'll make you jumpy.
Yeah, want to make sure you don't want to be late with either of those guys. Pat Jones has had a terrific career at Oklahoma State. They've averaged 8 wins a year since he became the head coach of the Cowboys.
1st and 15. Ford to throw. Overthrows Curtis Mayfield. Would have had to be super fly to grab that one.
Yeah, no pun intended, right? Every time I hear Curtis Mayfield's name, that's the singer's the one that I think of.
He's the one that played Superfly in all those movies back in the 60s and 70s.
Matter of fact, we were singing the theme song before the game. I'll let you do that a little bit later.
I don't think we want to do that again.
Better than I do.
Not over the air.
Ford, by the way, is 1 of 5 for 7 yards.
2nd and 15 for Oklahoma State.
Not a bad time for a draw.
4 minutes to go in the quarter. Well, you're close, Coach Logan. Instead, it's a pitch to Gerald Hudson up to the 28. Give him 7 yards on that play. Terry Johnson brought him down. Terry Johnson taking the place of Chad Brown in the starting lineup. Brown still out with mononucleosis.
I tell you, Hudson is the real deal. I mean, he breaks some tackles. You're 2nd and 15. You don't want to throw a pass, have an incompletion, because then you're almost non-operable 3rd and 15. This way, you pick up enough yardage that 3rd and 7. You've got a lot of things you can do offensively. Gerald Hudson, 3rd in the country, as we told you. He rushed for 255 yards against Missouri. He's been over 200-yard mark a couple of times this year.
Bill McCartney calls him a surefire NFL prospect. Ford in the shotgun, 3rd and 7. He's getting chased down. The pressure was put on by Gary Howe. I don't think I've ever seen Gary run that fast. And flags on the field.
Well, I believe he's got to be called for downing the football. There were only offensive linemen in the area that Ford threw the ball. There weren't any eligible receivers that I saw.
Illegal touching. Offense. Loss of down, 5 yards.
Illegal touching, of course, because the offensive lineman tried to catch the football, and he did so because there really wasn't anybody else there. Ford with great pressure on him. Initially, the drop back tried to roll right, and Howe is on him quickly. Right there, Ford just wants to get rid of the football. He does so, but the only player in that vicinity was number 68.
Illegal touching, huh? You can go to jail for that, I think. 4th down and 12 for OSU. They'll be punting. Terry Blanchard will do it. And Rico Smith back to receive. Nice punt by Blanchard. Boy, oh boy. Smith fields it at the 24. Across the 30. To about the 33. It was a 53-yard punt and a 9-yard return by Rico Smith. Once again, Bill McCartney alternating his punt returners. Now here's a good look at the Associated Press top 20. Notre Dame is number 1, playing a tough game today against Tennessee in Tennessee. Washington goes against arch rival Washington State. Houston at number 3 plays Texas, so they'll have a tough one. And then CU. Eric Bieniemy across the 45-yard line to the 46. Did I say Washington is playing Washington State? I meant UCLA.
That's what we've talked about earlier in the game. Oklahoma State taking a lot of chances. You're going to give up big plays that time, and Eric able to bounce it out. The country's leading rusher has had only one game this year in which he rushed for less than 100 yards, and that was in Austin, Texas. He had 99.
He's leading the nation, and he missed the first game against Tennessee because of a suspension. 1st and 10 for the Buffs on their own 46. Oklahoma State showing blitz again. Bieniemy, no room there. Goes out of bounds at about the 47 and takes about 17 ball players with him.
About 500 guys in that pile.
Roland Scott among them. He made the initial hit on Bieniemy.
That's when you know you're in bad shape. As the head coach or an assistant coach, you're standing there with a headset on, and here comes this mass of bodies and thousands of pounds, and they're moving fast, and before you know it, you either A, get trampled and run over, or B, you strangle yourself with your own headset trying to miss the pile.
We've seen coaches put out for the season because they couldn't dance out of the way soon enough. 2nd and 8 for the Buffs from their own 48. 2.5 minutes to go in up the middle, gets it across midfield, call it a gain of 3.
The Cowboys are blitzing every play. I mean, you might as well just play 8 or 9 players up on the line, and I'm sure teams have looked back at the Stanford film. That was probably the best defensive scheme that CU has faced this year. Unlike what Nebraska tried to do, just line up and play Colorado honest, and you saw what happened to the Cornhuskers. So the Cowboys are taking a lot of chances.
3rd and 5 for the Buffs. Rico Smith now in the ball game at one wide receiver, Pritchard at the other, and Hagan will throw. Tries to dump it off to the enemy, but it glances off Eric's hand, out of bounds, incomplete. And the Buffs will bring the punting unit on.
Tried to set up the screen pass to Eric Bieniemy. Some pressure on Hagan, and also Bieniemy never uncovered. I don't know that Hagan had a chance to see him amidst some pretty big guys in black jerseys.
Ruin will punt. Once again, Mike Clark, number 1, will receive it. He averages 7.5 yards on a punt return. Hasn't had much luck today. And Ruin gets off a beauty. Clark is going to let it go into the end zone. A punt of 49 yards. So Oklahoma State will start with it at its own 20.
Hey, really, I think you're seeing right now the effects of the Oklahoma and Nebraska game. Colorado is doing everything they need to do to win, except they're not doing it at the emotional level that they were the last couple of weeks. And that's to be expected. I know even Bill McCartney and his staff expected a little bit of this.
And you just got a good look at one member of his staff, Mike Berry, talking to the offensive lineman. That's the position he handles. 1st and 10 for OSU from its own 20. We're at the 2-minute mark in the first quarter. The Buffs lead it 7-0. Ford complete. This goes to Kirksey. He's out of bounds at the 28.
Well, Kirksey's a guy that really has good enough speed that he can beat you deep, so you have to respect that. He had 23 catches coming into this afternoon's contest. Breaks the initial tackle of McLuhan. You can't line up too closely on a guy like that. Both Mayfield and Kirksey have excellent speed.
Some of the Buffs' second unit on the field on the defensive line, including Leonard Renfro and Jeff Bruner. 2nd and 2 for Oklahoma State. First man through is Wilson. He's short of the first down, racked up quickly. Alfred Williams, I can see in on the pile, as well as Leonard Renfro. Renfro has been fighting an Achilles problem. That's why Marcellus Elder has been in the starting lineup the last couple of weeks. Renfro, 6'5", 285 pounds. He's just a freshman, a redshirt. It'll be 3rd and 2 for OSU. He gets it to the 30, but not much more. He's going to be very close to the first down. Dave, you think he has it?
Oh, sure, easily. All you have to do is get up to the 30-yard line, and he's got the football over the 30. So Cowboys pick up, I believe, their 3rd first down, and again, that's important to keep that defense on the sideline.
They are moving the chains. It is a first down. 1 minute to go in this first quarter. OSU at its own 31. They have yet to cross midfield against the Buffs. Ford with a nice pass to a wide open Robert Kirksey. They're almost at midfield, up to the 48-yard line. Greg Thomas brings him down.
Well, this is too easy. Kirksey lined up in the slot, just ran a bend in about 17 yards, and really the linebackers didn't get good enough depth, and really nobody else in the middle of the field. So passing teams have hurt Colorado during the course of this season. And the Cowboys not a great passing team, but that's one that's relatively easy to complete.
Kirksey, a good possession receiver. Curtis Mayfield is the burner. They go to him deep. Right now they're going to Cecil Wilson up the middle. The big fullback gets it inside the Buffs' 45-yard line down to the 42. Tim James once again the tackle.
You can see the Cowboy players fired up about this drive. You give them hope that they can stay in the game when you allow a team that you should beat to remain close and to have some success offensively or defensively. Nice run there by Cecil Wilson.
Well, this has been the pattern all year, as we talked about earlier. CU tends to let lesser teams stay in the ballgame in the first half, and then the Buffs explode in the second half. Right now, they're following that pattern once again. They're measuring for a first down, and it looks like the Cowboys will be a couple inches short.
Of course, Ohio State beating Iowa today. In Iowa City, that kind of throws the Rose Bowl picture up for grabs.
I think it also knocks Iowa out of any national championship picture. That's their second loss on the season.
They're coming at Miami against the Hurricanes.
It'll be second down, 1 yard to go. OSU with its deepest penetration of the day in Buffs territory. 20 seconds to go in the first quarter. Ford going deep. He's got Mayfield open, and he's got a touchdown. Mayfield knocked out of bounds, came back in to get the ball.
Yeah, you can go out of bounds if you are forced out of bounds by a defensive player. Canavis McGee is talking to the officials, say, hey, he ran out of bounds. He did go out of bounds, but he was pushed out of bounds by Deion Figures. In college football, you can come back in. We can't see the receiver on the right side of the screen, but Mayfield, who had a great game last year against CU, 6 catches for over 150 yards, is wide open. Deion Figures goes for the jam, misses the jam, and Mayfield's down the sideline.
And there are people actually booing in the stands here in the first quarter of a tie game. Blanchard with the extra point attempt. He hits it. And with 9 seconds to go in the first quarter, we have a tie ball game, 7-7. I am very impressed with the way Kenny Ford throws the ball. Coming in, Dave, you and I were told he's a much better runner than he is a thrower. But look at this pass right here. Look at the touch.
Take a look at Mayfield. You'll see Deion Figures, number 2, come up and try to jam him. Here, he pushes Mayfield out of bounds. Right there, Mayfield comes back inbounds, catches the football, and scores. What made that play possible, play action fake to the left side, to the weak side. He got the free safety to bite to the strong side. He comes back, Mayfield one-on-one with Figures with no deep help. He got a touchdown.
Mayfield's had a rough past 5 weeks. He's had that hamstring pull, and he's only made 2 catches in the last 5 weeks. Just 2 catches. But before the injury, he was one of the best receivers in the nation. In fact, he had 3 straight games of 100-plus yards. And now he looks like he's back in pretty good shape. Oklahoma State kicking off for the first time this afternoon. Blanchard does the kicking. He does the punting. Multi-purpose young man. Multi-talented, I should say. And he is also fighting it out with Oklahoma's R.D. Lasher for the Big 8 scoring lead this year. Strong leg on this young man. There won't be any return here. Pritchard lets it sail. It hits the upright. And the Buffs will start with it at their own 20-yard line. Well, Pat Jones, the head coach of OSU, has called CU the best team in the country. He watched that game against Nebraska last week. He was impressed. But right now, his boys are staying right with the Buffs. That last scoring drive took just 1:53 seconds. Hagan to the sideline, overthrows Rico Smith. There's a flag. I wonder what this could be about. That ball certainly wasn't catchable. It's going to be the last play of the first quarter. And the enemy gets it. Tries to spin away, brought down at the 38. And that is the end of the first quarter. We're tied up at Folsom Field. 7-7.
Back, they're tied early in the second.
And you can't do that against Oklahoma State. Teams are able to run up the middle against the Cowboys. 2nd and 6 from their own 39. The enemy. Gain of maybe 1 yard. Eric Garman brings them down.
We talked about the Cowboy defense gambling. That time Tracy Price, their middle linebacker, the red shirt, was in the backfield almost before Bieniemy got the football.
If you're CU, how do you take advantage of this gambling defense?
Well, there really are a few ways to do it. You're going to miss a few plays. You just have to continue to tell those guys, hey, we'll make some plays. Just stay with it. 3rd and 5 for the Buffs from their own 40. Showing blitz
blitz again is Oklahoma State. Hagan to the sideline. Pritchard makes the catch in Cowboys territory, out of bounds at the 46. Just a simple down and out pattern here.
But this is a good throw here. Cowboys blitzing up the middle. Hagan slides a little bit to the right side, has the tight end Sean Brown underneath, but goes for the tougher of the two throws. And Pritchard gets that right foot down. And enough for the first down. Of course, Pritchard last week was huge. 3 catches for 90 yards and may have been the key player in the second half of the Buffs victory.
Fumble on the snap. Hagan grabs it in midair and makes some good yardage out of it inside the 40-yard line. Jay Fleischman, the tackle.
Well, you know you're living right when you can do this. Not only do you fumble the ball and catch it, the ball goes up and over, hits Mark Vanderpool in the head and bounces back to Darian Hagan, who picks up about 9 yards. Take another look at it. Hagan loses the snap, the ball, but he continues to search for it. It hits Vanderpool in the head. Hagan picks it up and scoots for 9.
That looks
not bad.
Something drawn up by Rube Goldberg.
Oh, man.
2nd and 2 for the Buffs from the OSU 37. Play action over the middle to Brown, the tight end. There's a flag on the field. Brown still up, finally brought down at about the 20-yard line. Jay Fleischman was the one who finally corralled him. Hagan with the quick pitch to Mike Pritchard, scoots up the middle inside the 4. This is Bieniemy. Very close to the first down. Did he get the ball past the 35? If he did, it is a first down.
He got it.
You're right. He got it. We should mention Jay Fleischman has been in on the last 3 tackles for Oklahoma State. He is that team's 3rd leading tackler. .12:15 to go in this first half. We're all tied up at 7. 1st and 10. Bieniemy inside the 30, down to the 29. Gain of 6.
Bieniemy may be at his best running between the tackles again. He's got such great ability to cut back. Hemingway, the lead block there. Bieniemy cuts back inside the tackle to the linebacker. The first guy to have a chance to nail him, number 36 for Oklahoma State, that's Scott Harmon, who's a defensive back. You can see the Cowboys still gambling, but so far in this drive, it hasn't worked.
Mark Henry in the ballgame now for the Buffs, lining up wide left at receiver. Pritchard is in the slot. He's got Pritchard wide open. Call it 6. And the Oranges rain down from the stands. That's a lineup, a formation you don't see often from the Buffs.
Well, the Cowboys again blitzed. Scott Harmon missed the tackle last time. This time he has Mike Pritchard run right by him. You see Pritchard several yards behind Harmon. Cowboys bringing people up the middle. They leave Pritchard one-on-one, and Darian Hagan has thrown his 2nd touchdown pass of the afternoon, and he kind of likes it.
It's almost as if they wanted to hide Pritchard and did a good job of it, lining him up close to the left side of the offensive line. He was open by about 5 yards there. And part of the CU crew is down on the field right now picking up oranges from the end zone. That's why we have the delay right now. Jim Harper getting ready to kick the extra point. He's going to have to wait a couple seconds.
Fellas, it's going to be a busy day, those orange picker-uppers. They're going to be after oranges all afternoon.
This will give the Buffs a 14-7 lead if Harper comes through. And with 11 minutes, 28 seconds to go in the first half, the Buffs lead it 14-7. Harper puts it about 5 yards deep in the end zone, and Scott Harmon decides to down the ball right there. The Cowboys will start with it at their own 30. You mentioned that you believe Pritchard is going to be playing in the NFL next year. Where do you think he can go in the draft?
That I don't know. I mean, he's a guy that really has not had a lot of exposure catching the football here, but he's got such great speed. He's explosive. He makes people miss. I don't think he can play running back in the NFL, but I think he can be a very versatile Steve Sewell-type player, a lot of different roles, and really be a compliment to any offense.
Oklahoma State with 1st and 10. The give is to Hudson. Dances up to the 24-yard line. Gain of 4.
There'll be some other guys that you see here today that'll be playing in the National Football League next year. This team is loaded with senior talent.
Well, the crowd noise picking up a little. A sold-out crowd here at Folsom Field. Awfully quiet in the first quarter. Our Mark McIntosh on the field told us it sounded like a library. Well, now it's getting a little louder as the Buffs just scored to take a 14-7 lead. 2nd and 7. The pitch to Hudson. Has some room. Picks up the 1st down and more. A good cutback. One man to beat. Dave McCluen. And he gets by him. Beaker comes back. Trips him up. And Hudson is down inside the 20, but there are flags on the field.
Yeah, it's going to come back. Kanavis McGee was held as Hudson turned the corner. What a great run by Gerald Hudson. How many guys did he make miss? But unfortunately for the Cowboys, this one is going to come back, and they'll do it again after the penalty. And I don't know if we can see it, but Hudson, when he makes the break, the hold has already occurred. The play has already been flagged. You can see the flag come in there. But what a nice run by Gerald Hudson. Kanavis actually turning around, not chasing the play, but talking to the official.
Holding. Offense. 2nd down.
So a 60-yard run by Gerald Hudson negated. You can wipe it off the books.
He's got some dip in his doodle, though, doesn't he? Huh? I mean, he makes some people miss. He too will be playing Sundays next year, I imagine.
I'll tell you what I'm amazed at. Greg Beaker, the linebacker, was 60 yards downfield and caught up with him. The cutback helped, but still. 2nd and 14 for Oklahoma State from its own 16. Almost messed up the snap. Ford will scramble. And that's Tim James nailing him. Let's go down to the field, Mark McIntosh.
Thank you very much, Les. Dave, you were talking earlier about this fine group of seniors. Their last game here at Folsom Field is next week against Kansas State, and there are 2,000 tickets still available for that ball game. The reason why? The Wildcats returned an allotment of tickets back to the CU ticket office. So Buff fans out there, there's 2,000 tickets left for next week's game, the final home appearance for a great group of seniors. Back upstairs.
Well, there shouldn't be any problem selling that game out, just 2,000 tickets. If you don't go to the game, we'll have it live on Channel 4. A 12:10 kickoff next week. 3rd and 7 for Oklahoma State. Under the 9.5-minute mark in this half. Ford with the screen, overthrows his man, Ronnie Fisher.
And he's lucky he did, because Kanavis McGee was not sold on that screen. He rushed initially and then was right with Fisher, who was trying to catch the football. Pretty good series there by the Buff defense. And of course, they got away with a bit of luck because Hudson had that long run called back because of holding.
State will punt. There's a good look at Kerry Blanchard. An average of 40 yards per punt. And there's a good look at Dave McCluen, the Buffs senior. One of the faster guys in the nation. One of the better punt returners in the nation. And he'll have a chance to return this one from his own 27. Inside, gets a few more. Flags on the field as McCluen gets it up to the 43-yard line. And you know what that usually means. A 50-yard punt for Blanchard. It usually means the penalty is against the receiving team. And that's the way the players on the field are reacting.
The offense has already walked out and standing on the 5th.
For the Buffs from their own 24, the enemy finds the seam up across the 30 to the 33. And on the tackle is number 4, Chris Calhoun, a freshman from Oklahoma State.
And again, there's a play where Sean Brown, number 87, if he holds his block just a second longer on the cornerback right there, the enemy is off to the races. Brown has been just a great addition to the CU team at tight end, as John Bowman was hurt early. And the enemy doesn't need much of a seam to make something big happen.
Sean Brown, junior out of California, JC transfer. Mark Henry in the ball game now at wide receiver for the Buffs. Hemingway, that was odd. Hemingway took the hand off and immediately was grabbed by the ankles, did a 360, and then went down.
He looked like he tried to leave his leg there and continue to run.
Well, the students in the band are getting older these days, aren't they?
I hope I can hit the drum when I'm that old. College football that are simply better than the National Football League. In the NFL, this would have been in the grasp, but Bieniemy able to pull away from the tackle. And you can see as the Cowboy, George Bright, has him right there. The whistle doesn't blow. He underhands the ball to Bieniemy, and here we go again, off to the races. Pretty good play by Hagan, and I think one of the reasons, that's a good indication as to why the National Football League, I think, is doing itself injustice with the in-the-grasp rule.
Hagan on the option, finds Bieniemy, another risky pitch, and another big gain inside the 35-yard line. Boy, this is going to turn McCartney's hair gray very quickly.
I'll tell you whose hair is gray on the field is Chris Calhoun, that freshman. Calhoun plays the pitch man all the way. At the last minute decides, well, Bieniemy's not going to get the pitch. Turns around to Hagan, and Hagan throws it right over his head. What a nice pitch by Darian Hagan, the guy that... take a look. The pitch has already been made, so you can't see what Calhoun has to deal with, but it went right over the top of his head as he was turned backwards.
1st and 10 from the 35. 7:15 to go in this first half. That's Chucky Snowden, his first carry of the day. The young man from Fairview High School gets it inside the 30. Call it a gain of 5. CU leads 14-7, threatening to increase that lead. Bieniemy back in the game at tailback. Snowden takes a rest. And Bieniemy gets the ball. And down to the 25-yard line. Close to the first down. I think he'll be a little short. Richie Ansley brought him down. There's a timeout on the field, an official's timeout. 6:33 to go in the half, and they will measure for the first down.
Well, Colorado can really take control of this football game if they can knock it in. The defense, after giving up the long touchdown pass, has shown signs of really starting to stiffen. Bieniemy again sees a big hole once he gets the football. That's a pretty good tackle. I think Eric there just decided he's going to try to run over somebody. When you blitz those two inside guys and you run off tackle and you block them, there aren't many people between you and the goal line.
It's hard to run over guys when you're only 5'7", 190.
Well, he can do it, and I think he likes to do it.
3rd and 1 for the Buffs. Hemingway picks up the first down and a couple yards more.
There's another guy that likes to do it and can do it too. If you counted the guys this year and last that George Hemingway has run over, you'd have a long list. Not much room, not much target to hit, 6 feet, very compact at 230 pounds, and he packs a wallop.
Yeah, a little easier for him at 230 to do that. Hemingway, a senior out of California, sociology major. We're at the 6-minute mark in the first half. Buffs with a first down at the OSU 22. We've got a flag. Hagan throws into the end zone. He's intercepted. He is intercepted. Let's see what the flag is.
I think it's going to be against Colorado.
Which means Oklahoma State will keep the ball, and there's your indicator. Yes, it is.
The one thing you can't do when you throw an out cut or a comeback, you cannot be late.
Holding. Offense. Touchback. Penalty decline. Touchback. First down, 20-yard line.
And the ball a little bit late to Pritchard. You can be late in the middle of the field. You can certainly be late in a short pattern. But here, the play-action fake, and Hagan rolls a little bit to the outside as he slips down, and now the timing of the pattern is going to be off. You can see the throw, and Harmon undercuts the pattern and makes a nice catch before he rolls out of bounds.
Really nothing went right for CU that play. The holding call, an inadvisable pass by Hagan, and then the interception by Harmon. So Oklahoma State, with a little less than 6 minutes to go in the half, has the ball at its own 20-yard line. Well, you're going to get an illegal procedure there.
You're going to get a new tight end, too. That's 3 times. Big fella.
This is Hudson. He's got room. Little juke and jive. Up across the 40, the 45, down to the 46. Joel Steed ran him down from behind, as did Leonard Renfro.
Well, I'll tell you what, Barry Sanders was a great back, but this looks to me like Barry Sanders. You talk about a water bug, makes Biekert miss, makes Thomas take the wrong angle, gets a downfield block from a receiver, undercuts Tim James. Alfred Williams has to hustle back and slow him down. He is a dangerous open field runner. He's got all sorts of moves. I mean, his legs go every which way.
One of the best cutback runners we've seen all year. First and 10 from their own 46, and there's a timeout on the field.
And Pat Jones called that from the sideline. The wide receiver heard him and called the timeout, and Jones evidently wants to talk something over.
And he's doing just that with his quarterback, Kenny Ford. We're going to take a break as Pat Jones and Ford talk things over. We'll be right back at Folsom Field. Timeout left this half. The Buffs have all 3 of their timeouts left. Pat Jones just took up a new hobby, Dave. Motorcycle riding. He owns his own Harley now.
Got to be out of his mind.
First and 10 from the 46. Play action. Ford whips a pass incomplete. The intended receiver, number 38, Scott Copeland, tight end.
And Leonard Renfro got to Ford right when he threw the football. And I'm not so sure Ford might not be shaken up a bit. Ford, you'll see Renfro coming from the right side of your screen after he delivers the football. Renfro is a good defensive lineman that has really struggled to stay healthy this year. He's had Achilles tendon problems and has just not been able to go much.
Second and 10 for Oklahoma State. 5:15 to go in the half. Ford throws on the run complete to Curtis Mayfield right near the first down marker, and I believe he's picked it up in Buffs territory, about the 43-yard line.
I'll tell you, for a kid that doesn't have the reputation as having a strong arm and a good arm, this is a great throw. They don't get Alfred Williams knocked down the left side of your screen. The backs don't get him, and he's in Ford's face. The ball is gone, and you can see right on the money. The outcut by Mayfield in front of McLuhan, enough for the first down. And the Cowboys have stayed in this game.
Kenny Ford throwing the ball like an All-American, just to give you an indication of why we're surprised. On the season, he's a 42% thrower. Just 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. But he's riddling the Buffs pretty well. First and 10 from the Buffs 43. Ford will throw again. Good rush. This time from Steed. And Ford does the smart thing. He gets rid of the ball.
And Howe had Cecil Wilson, the intended receiver, locked up. Wilson's been in a couple of screen passes. Both have been thrown errantly, and he's probably better for it. The pressure up the middle, Joel Steed in Ford's face. Wilson there, and to his left is Gary Howe. That play has just not been one that's working today, the screen pass.
Joel Steed acquitting himself wonderfully the last couple of weeks. Had a great game against Nebraska. He's from Aurora Hinckley. Went to high school just down the road. Second and 10 for OSU from the Buffs 43. That was quite a risky pass, incomplete. He put it on the money, but his receiver Kirksey couldn't hold on to it.
Well, the play action pass into the weak side of the field, the short side, is going to be tough to get. That free safety doesn't have far to run. In this case, Greg Thomas gets there about the time the ball arrives, with Kirksey having a chance to catch it, and that's a play that will work better to the wide side. Make that free safety run 10, 15, 20 yards to stop the throw.
Third and 10 for OSU. 5 minutes to go in the half. CU with a 14-7 lead. In the shotgun, Ford calling out signals. Wild snap. Cecil Wilson, the fullback, can't hold on. But another Oklahoma State Cowboy falls on it. Scott Webb, the offensive lineman, finally got the handle on the ball. Oklahoma State's going to have to punt now.
I tell you what happened. The quarterback, Ford, walked up so so that signals could be heard, and Surratt snapped the ball as though he would actually be back in the shotgun formation. He actually snapped it like he was going to a punter. But a bad feeling. The ball's on the ground. Wilson gets it. McGee shakes it loose from him, and the Cowboys do recover.
Blanchard to punt. Rico Smith back to receive it. Almost another high snap. Just gets the punt off. Smith fields it at the 13. Gets away up across the 25. A nice run back considering.
Okay.
It was a punt of 52 yards. (14-7). The Buffs, and then of course the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day if they do win one of the next two games. Buffs have the ball on their own 26. It's 1st and 10. Hagan throws on the run. That was a nice catch by the tight end, Sean Brown. He has to stay down, however, because in college ball, as soon as your knee touches, you are down and the play is ruled dead. Well, there is a flag on the field.
Yeah, George Hayward, the line judge from the wide side of the field, I think it's called illegal man downfield. Brown was all by himself, made a nice adjustment on the ball. Must have been one of the offensive linemen that got downfield a bit.
We'll find out right now.
Ineligible downfield. Offense. Loss of down. 2nd down.
That's what happens as an offensive lineman. Once you break that line of scrimmage and the ball is thrown, more times than not, you're going to be nailed. You've got two guys standing on each side of the football across the field, and they look for things like that. They look for big bodies down the field when the ball's in the air, or big numbers.
Darian Hagan has thrown for 2 touchdowns today already. It's 2nd and 15. The enemy up across the 25. Gain of maybe 4. Scott Harmon makes the stop. Boy, what a year Bieniemy's had. Leads the nation in rushing. Broke the CU scoring record for a career. Broke the CU single season rushing record today. Broke the CU all-time rushing record earlier in the year. Plus this little tidbit. He's one of 7 finalists for the Walter Camp Trophy. He's also, I would imagine, a Heisman Trophy candidate. Hagan to throw deep. He's looking for Rico Smith. Way overthrown. That was a frayer. And the Buffs are going to have to punt with 3:08 to go in the first half.
That's one on 3rd and 15. You get the right coverage where the free safety squats. You've got a chance to get that post in behind him. And Rico Smith, one of your fastest players, just in a foot race with the cornerback, and that was Mike Clark.
When the free safety squats?
Sits down in the middle of the field.
I see.
It's an athletic term, Wes.
That's why I didn't understand it. 4th down. The Buffs. Tom Ruin to punt. And back to receive is Mike Clark. Go Ruin with a low line drive. Clark is going to have a chance to pick up some yardage here, but not much. He's racked up hard at the 35. Under the 3-minute mark, Oklahoma State needs a touchdown to tie. That was a 50-yard punt by Ruin and a 6-yard return by Clark. Well, you see Colorado State atop the Big 8 standings, undefeated.
Who?
Did I say Colorado State? I mean Colorado, excuse me. Colorado State's in another league.
Yes.
Nebraska in 2nd place with a 4-1 record. The Buffs 8-1-1 overall. Going for their 8th straight win. First and 10 for OSU from its own 35. Ford runs the option, but not very well. Picks up 2 yards. Greg Beekert stops him.
And again, this is not a team that you're going to be able to option too much against. They've got too good of speed on the outside. Both of those inside linebackers, in this case Beekert and Johnson, can run. They get to the option guy. They play the pitch man very well. Got to run straight ahead against this team.
Beekert really an unsung hero on this Buffs defense. The leading tackler. With all those All-American candidates out there, Beekert has stopped more runners than anybody else. 2nd and 8. His 6th interception this year. gets to the sidelines into OSU territory, and there's a flag on the field. There are 2 flags.
They called Alfred Williams for a clip. That's the play. And I don't know if he got him in the back. It looked like he got him right in the side. Williams tried to come back and help Tim James.
Boy, that football looked like it was
Clipping on the return. First down.
Well, take a look after the ball is thrown, and it is a duck. Tim James will get it. Watch to the left side of your picture, and Alfred Williams, actually the top of the screen, is going to run down. James will make a move. Now look to the right part of the screen. The clip will come right there. Boy, not much of a block, if any.
He almost missed him completely. But it sends the Buffs back to their own 30-yard line. They're going to have 1:56 to try and work some magic. You saw that's Tim James' 6th interception of the year. James is 6'3", 205-pound senior out of California. 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line. Hagan calling out the signals. Good pressure. Oklahoma State had a number of shots at him. Finally brought him down at the 23. A loss of 7 yards.
And Hagan may have injured his left leg. He is limping, and he's going to take a timeout, I think. Went down in a funny fashion on that left foot, but he's going to stay in the game.
Oklahoma State looking to blitz. Hagan scrambling. Gets across the 35-yard line to the 36. He gets about 13 yards back.
Well, this thing healed quickly. He's limping between plays, but he's running pretty good during the play. The quarterback draw, and that time Hagan just broke contain and gained a lot of yards.
Less than a minute to go in the half. 3rd and 4 for the Buffs. Deep to Pritchard. He's wide open. Inside the OSU 40. Down to the 37 before Terry Henley stops him. Another play like that, they're in field goal range and could come out with some points before the half ends.
Another good throw by Darian Hagan. He's got the underneath receiver open and decides to go to Mike Pritchard, who ran the comeback pattern.
Here's another look at it.
Hagan makes a nice throw. Pritchard on the comeback pattern. One guy away from breaking this thing long. Good hustle that time by the Cowboy defense. That was Terry Henley coming back to make the touchdown-saving tackle.
CU takes its first timeout. The Buffs have 2 of them left. Oklahoma State has 1 timeout left. Pritchard having a fine day. The first half, 79 yards receiving already. Well, if you missed it earlier, Iowa has lost to Ohio State. Iowa at home today. That will impact the Rose Bowl picture and the Big Ten standings and possibly New Year's Day.
Certainly impacts that Rose Bowl as Washington looks to be the odds-on favorite to represent the Pac-10, but the Big Ten now has got some questions to answer. Michigan beating Illinois today, 22-17.
Hagan to pass. Over the middle, it's tipped. Almost intercepted by number 47, the linebacker, Mike Woolridge. We've got 44 seconds to go in the half. CU leads it 14-7.
You're seeing Colorado really working a lot on the passing game. Trying to get Hagan back in the groove. You've got to throw the ball a lot, and they've been fairly successful the last couple of weeks making big plays with that passing game.
2nd and 10. They're going to need a big play right here to get into field goal range. Hagan once again on the run. Dumps it off to Rico Smith. He's in range now. In fact, he's in the end zone almost. Knocked out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Once again, a yellow flag on the field.
Well, this one came from the same guy who made the last call, the line judge. And this may be some sort of block, illegal block. It's a clip. But it was not a clip actually on the side of the field that Rico Smith was on. This was a clip way away from the football. George Hayward, the line judge out of St. Joseph, Missouri, makes the call.
You don't think? Nah. He's from Missouri, but he wouldn't do that, would he? I'm going to hear from the Big 8 office now, questioning the integrity of the officials. I'm just kidding, folks. Just kidding. They will bring that ball back.
Well, Rico Smith in the crossing pattern. Hagan gets away. Smith catches the ball. The penalty's thrown about right now on the right side of the field. There's a good block by Hemingway. Rico Smith has great speed, almost makes it in the end zone, but it comes back to the 31-yard line. And Bill McCartney didn't like the call, as you might expect.
Clipping. Offense. Second down.
35 seconds to go in the half. If you're looking at a field goal right now, it's a pretty deep one. It would be approximately 48 yards. But the Buffs have some time now to move that ball a little closer to the end zone. It's second down and 4 yards to go. Another good rush put on, and this time Hagan goes down back at his own 42. It was George Bright, the right defensive end, doing it to Hagan.
We talked about the Cowboys gambling. That time Bright, about 215 pounds, not very big. He plays almost like an outside linebacker, but he comes from the weak side and gets to Hagan before Darian can get going. Colorado really has hurt themselves with penalties this afternoon. Big play penalties. I mean, it's okay occasionally to get a 5-yard penalty on offsides, but not a clipping penalty on a big pass play.
Buffs take another timeout, and we're going to go down to the field right now to Mark McIntosh.
You guys have been talking a lot about the Rose Bowl, Iowa losing today. Regardless of who represents the Big Ten, it's going to help the Buffs because now Washington will play a Big Ten team that is not ranked as high as Iowa would have been ranked had it won the rest of its regular season ball games. Thus, even if Washington wins the Rose Bowl, it would be easier for CU to hop over them and into the #1 spot if the Buffs could come up with a victory, obviously, in the regular season to clinch the Big 8 title, then win the Orange Bowl. Back upstairs.
Well, it's an interesting scenario. New Year's Day should be fun. Second and 13 for the Buffs from the OSU 41-yard line. Hagan dumps it off to Rico Smith to the other side, and Smith with another big gainer inside the 25. Looked like you take the last play and put it up to a mirror.
Rico doing a little bit of a juggling act as he caught the football. Nice touch pass by Darian Hagan. He looked to get the ball downfield at the last minute, spotted Smith on the crossing route, laid it out there, and George Hemingway again with a good block to spring Rico Smith for an extra 5 or 6 yards. And now with 18 seconds to go, you've got time for at least one play and maybe a couple plays if you want to try to get something into the end zone.
The Buffs with a first down at the 23. Hagan looking for Pritchard. Thrown way out of bounds. Pritchard did not have a shot at it. There's 13 seconds on the clock right now. A field goal would be a 40-yard attempt. But the Buffs are going to try and get one more play off.
Colorado has one timeout left. So you want to try, obviously you can use that timeout to get your field goal kicking team on. You want to try to get the ball in the end zone on this play. It doesn't do you a lot of good to pick up 10 or 15 yards. It makes it a shorter field goal, certainly, but Harper's capable of hitting a 40 or 41-yard attempt. So you want to try to get something into the end zone and pick up 7 instead of 3.
Well, your receivers are Mark Henry wide left and Pritchard wide right, and Hagan's looking for Pritchard. 2 defenders there. There is a flag. You're going to get an interference call here. And with 7 seconds left,
I think he's waving it off. Is he going to wave it off and say the ball was not catchable?
Pass was not catchable. Pass was not catchable.
You're absolutely right.
I'll tell you what, Pritchard, the inside play here, tries to get away from the jam, does a good job. The ball's on its way. You can see pretty good coverage on the outside. The safety crosses over. You can't even see the football. It did hit out of the end zone, and that's what the official has called. Good coverage there by Joe King, the cornerback, who jammed Pritchard at the line of scrimmage. I'll tell you, that was close.
That's an interesting scenario, Dave. At what point do you give the man defensive interference?
Well, if the ball is a non-catchable pass, you never give it to him.
Yeah, but that means you could hammer the wide receiver. then you get called for a roughing penalty.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a judgment call strictly. And in the opinion of the official, that ball would not have been caught had there not been pass interference. So they waved off the flag, and Colorado will have to settle for a field goal attempt. It was close. The ball landed just out of the end zone. Tough to see from this angle as to the height of the pass, whether pitcher could have got up and got it. Not a popular call here for Bill McCartney.
7 seconds to go in the half. Jim Harper will be attempting a 40-yard field goal. The Buffs lead 14-7. Harper is 11 for 18 in field goal attempts this year. He has hit a 54-yarder. This one is a sidewinder, and it's right dead center. And the Buffs, with 3 seconds to go in the half, take a 17-7 lead. We will have a kickoff with 3 seconds to go. Very quiet crowd here, Dave. They expected a CU blowout, is what I imagine.
I think the crowd is somewhat drained, too, after 2 big weeks, Oklahoma and Nebraska. And let's face it, Colorado's a better team than Oklahoma State, and everybody here expects a CU victory. And so, like on the field at times, the crowd kind of goes through the motion. Now you clap when they make a big play, and you boo when Oklahoma State does, and you don't really get into the game as you have the last couple of weekends.
It is another sellout crowd here at Full. And designate that as the homecoming game, but Oklahoma State is anything but a patsy right now. Onside kick by Harper, fallen on by OSU with 2 seconds to go in the half. Oklahoma State will get off one play, and then we'll all march off.
It didn't look like the frontline guys were going to even worry about the football, and Colorado could have picked up a key turnover here. You don't think this will be the Hail Mary, do you?
Well, if it is, the Buffs are well prepared. They've got 2 defensive backs way back down at the 20-yard line. Oklahoma State can't find the ball. Ran one way, the ball was the other.
No Hail Mary.
Now it looks like they're just going to kneel down. Ford will take the snap, his knee down, and that's the end of the half. The Buffs lead at 17-7. A win, and they wrap up the Big 8. But so far, it ain't easy, folks. We're going to try and get Oklahoma State coach Pat Jones as he's going off to the locker room. Hopefully we'll be successful here. I'm told we're working on it. And let's go down to the field to Mark McIntosh and head coach Pat Jones.
We are here with Pat Jones. You're down 10, but you got to feel pretty good. Your team's in this game.
Well, we're hanging in there pretty good. Of course, Hagan, that's what makes Hagan and Bieniemy such great players, the ability to improvise. They did it a couple of times out here, and they're obviously scary guys and great athletes. We've hung in there. We've been our own worst enemy offensively, jumping off sides, and we had the long run called back out here, but we've actually moved the ball decent at times.
You've been gambling on defense, 8-9 guys up on the line of scrimmage.
That's not going to stop. It won't stop in the second half, I promise you.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach. Coach Pat Jones of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He trails by 10 at halftime, 17-7, back upstairs.
Dave, you can hardly blame him. The gambling defense has worked so far.
No question.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back at Folsom Field. Back to run it back for CU will be number 9, Mike Pritchard, and number 33, James Hill. Hill not usually a kickoff returner. You usually either see Dwayne Davis or Eric Bieniemy back there. But right now he is the up man on the right side of your screen in front of the deep man, Mike Pritchard. And a little bit of a win, so the ball will be held as Blanchard kicks it off. He does a good job kicking it off. Pritchard with no shot at returning it. The Buffs will start with the ball at their own 20. And Dave, we talked about this earlier. Both teams following the pattern they've run through the first half of the season. CU getting off slowly, and Oklahoma State getting off quickly. In the second half all year, Oklahoma State has fallen apart in the second half, and CU has exploded on its opponents in the second half. So let's see if that happens right here. Darian Hagan at quarterback. You've got Hemingway and Eric Bieniemy behind him, and Bieniemy gets the pitch. Tries to turn it wide, brought down for a 2-yard loss by Scott Harmon, who's playing a very good game on defense for Oklahoma State.
Well, he makes a big play there. Bieniemy has a chance to turn the corner, and Harmon, coming up from his safety spot, makes a very good tackle. Bieniemy is not easy to bring down in the open field, and Harmon gets him low there before EB can turn it up and make some yardage.
By the way, in the first half, Bieniemy ran for 82 yards. 2nd down and 11 for the Buffs. Hagan wants to go deep. Instead, he's sacked for the 3rd time on the day. Back at the line of scrimmage, George Bright wrapped his arms around him.
And again, it's rather evident today that Colorado's tried to come out and work on the passing game. Hagan that time looking deep for Mike Pritchard. Had nothing and was flushed up into the pocket where you can really get good pressure on a quarterback. You don't want to let a guy like Hagan break contain to either side. Make him step up in the pocket and throw the ball.
3rd and 10 for the Buffs. 2 wide receivers, Smith and Pritchard. Hagan with some time now. Wide open Pritchard to midfield. Gets by one man, gets by another. Finally brought down at the OSU 41-yard line. Well, that might be what the Buffs need to wake him up, because I don't see a lot of fire in the belly so far this second half.
Well, this is what we were talking about with Mike Pritchard, the guy that really has elusive running ability, and Hagan stands back in the pocket. The Cowboys rushed only 3 players, and Darian had all sorts of time, and when you have that much time, receivers will get open. And then Pritchard, once he catches the football, is the most dangerous player, certainly, Colorado's had at the receiving end for many, many years. He makes people miss all the time.
That was a 39-yard gain, and this is Bieniemy inside the 40, down to about the 42. No, that's not thunder you hear, folks. That's Dave Logan putting on a new headset. 2nd and 5 for the Buffs from the OSU 36. Again, 2 men split wide, Smith and Pritchard. Hagan wants to keep on the option, has a hole inside the 30, inside the 25, down to the 23, and run down by Ansley, the freshman.
Well, this play looks like Darian Hagan of old. Hagan makes a nice dip inside right there, which freezes the linebacker. You can see Harmon took the inside pursuit angle, thinking Darian was going to turn it up inside, and he bounced back to the outside, picked up a lot of yards.
I think what we've seen the last few weeks, Dave, is Darian Hagan is finally healthy after battling a shoulder, an ankle, a hamstring, and a knee in the offseason. Hagan is looking like he did last year. 1st and 10 from the 24. Bieniemy stacked up quickly. Maybe 1 yard. Eric Garman brings him down. 17-7, the Buffs lead. Pritchard comes out of the game. Rico Smith, the 1 receiver, split wide right now. And Hagan from out of the backfield. Hemingway, a nice one-handed catch, stumbles down to the 12-yard line.
Well, George made a great one-handed catch, and then, you know, sometimes when you catch the football and turn it up and you can see you got a lot of yards, your mind works faster than your feet do.
That's Hemingway's 2nd catch on the day.
Thinking you try to get ahead and make the 1st down, maybe the touchdown. Hagan gets rid of it before he's dumped. Watch the catch. The left hand Hemingway. Now he's thinking, I get them yards. The feet just don't work as fast as the mind does.
Hemingway has put in a very solid season at fullback for the Buffs. First and 10 from the OSU 13. Bieniemy down to the 15. Once again, Ansley brings him down. That sun's starting to set in the west. And you might be able to see a lot of shadows on this Folsom field right now. About half the field covered. But the ball is in the sunshine, and the Buffs have a 2nd and 7 from the 10. Once again, Bieniemy. Couple yards. Stacy Satterwhite stops him.
Well, Eric Bieniemy has rushed for over 100 yards in a Colorado game. CU is 17-3. You look at the rushing attack of the Buffaloes the last 5 years. Since 1985, Colorado is 5th in the country in rushing, behind Nebraska, Oklahoma, Army, Air Force, and then the Buffs. And when this guy goes, you can usually count on CU putting a lot of points on the board.
Well, he's close to 100 yards right now if he doesn't have it already. 3rd and 5. Hagan wants to throw. He does. The defender trips, and Sean Brown makes the touchdown catch.
Boy, what a nice catch. We talked about Sean Brown, the JC transfer, what he's meant to the CU team. I'll tell you, he lays out for this one. Hagan puts it outside, the counter fake, and the ball's up in the air. The defender tripped. As you said, watch this catch as Brown lays out. That's pretty.
Sean Brown, his 2nd touchdown catch of the year. Doing a nice job filling in for the still injured John Bowman. Harper, the extra point attempt. He's got it. And the Buffs are starting to pull away. 24-7 with 10:24 to go in the 3rd quarter. We'll be right back. And Hagan to the tight end, Sean Brown. The Buffs are up 24-7. Jim Harper will kick off to Scott Harmon and Mike Clark, and it's Harmon fielding it at the 1. Big hole up the middle if he can get to it. It's closed off quickly. He still gets it up to about the 27. And Oklahoma State needs a good drive here if they want to get back into this ball game. Let's take another look at that touchdown catch by Sean Brown.
It's a thing of beauty. Sean Brown lays out and with the fingertips pulls in the football. That's Hagan's 3rd touchdown pass of the day.
Kenny Ford, the quarterback. Keep your eye on number 23 back there. Gerald Hudson, the 3rd leading rusher in the nation. He gets the ball. Pushes his way almost to the 30. There to bring him back are Beekert and Greg Thomas.
See, now when you've got Oklahoma State down by 17 points, you force them to really get away from what they do best, and that's featuring Gerald Hudson. It's a team that likes to run first and then play action off the run, and if you can't run or you're so far behind that you've got to throw more, makes it pretty tough for a young quarterback like Kenny Ford.
And they don't throw to Hudson much either. He's only got 7 catches on the year for 10 yards. 2nd and 7. And he has maybe 3 yards. It'll be 3rd down. Oklahoma State staying very conservative here, down by 17 and running the ball.
Well, I think Pat Jones realizes that he can't get caught up in an all-out throwing game. You're going to have to continue to try to run the ball. That's tough to do against Colorado. I mean, this is a very good rushing defense. They give up about 117 yards a game, and they are physically much stronger up front than their counterparts, the Cowboys.
And there is still a lot of time. 9 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. The pitch to Hudson. Flag on the field.
I think the play was blown dead before the ball was snapped.
Dead ball. Illegal procedure. Offense. 3rd down again.
So we'll replay 3rd down. The penalty was against Oklahoma State.
Pat Jones said at halftime to Mark McIntosh, we've hurt ourselves with penalties. That's the understatement here in Boulder. Cowboys have just killed themselves. When you play a good team, a team that's better than you are, in their home, you have to eliminate silly mistakes. Offsides, illegal procedure, holding. You just can't continue to do that, and Oklahoma State has.
3rd and 10 for the Cowboys. The ball on their own 27. Ford is in the shotgun. The screen pass. And Hudson is brought down from behind by Alfred Williams.
Well, that's a fine play. Williams actually gets sucked in for the screen a little bit and then has enough speed he can run down Hudson from the backside. Alford came from the right side of the defense, so he had to come all the way across the field, and shows you why he's an All-American candidate. And we talked about guys going to play on Sunday next year. You can count on seeing this guy.
He's also a finalist for the Butkus Award, given to the best lineman in college ball all year. Oklahoma State fakes the punt, but gets nowhere. And CU will start with the ball at the Oklahoma State 34-yard line. David Gibbs was alert enough to make the tackle there. There is a hurt player on the field. It's Lamar Gray. He is getting up under his own power.
Well, Pat Jones must have felt like if Nebraska used it last week and it didn't work, Colorado probably wouldn't be thinking that the Cowboys would do it. Just about the same field position as the Cornhuskers had last week, and great play by David Gibbs. Had he not made the tackle, Cowboys would have had a first down and much more. Now, offensively, you've got to think of breaking the game open. You need to score here, go up by 24, and from that point on, you can get some guys that usually don't get much playing time in the game.
1st and 10 for the Buffs. From the Oklahoma State 34. And they're going for it.
Got him.
Mike Pritchard wide open at the 10, jukes out a man and into the end zone. And the Buffs are about to make this a runaway.
Boy, you could see this thing develop. Pritchard, the only receiver Colorado sent out on this play. Watch this move. He'll fake to the post right there. One little step. He freezes the cornerback. And the difference between Pritchard and most receivers, he expects to score. He expects to pick up yards after the catch every time he makes a reception. The nice little dance, gets away from the cornerback, and in for the touchdown.
And the oranges are starting to splatter all over this turf. Jim Harper with the extra point. The Buffs go up 31-7 with 7:48 to go in the 3rd quarter, and we'll be right back at Folsom Field.
Again, you can see what he's done to the cornerback, and here, didn't run out of bounds, doesn't go down. He expects to score, just sidesteps the tackle of Mike Clark, and prances into the end zone. One play, 35 yards in 8 seconds. That's not bad. Nice little tidy scoring drive.
And this is so typical of the Buffs this year. A team makes a mistake, and the Buffs just explode on them. OSU's mistake here, trying to pick up a first down on a fake punt. It didn't work, and CU comes right back and puts it into the end zone. Clark from his own 8 tries to turn it outside. Dwayne Davis is there, as well as a few other black shirts, and he's down at the 20-yard line.
Mike Pritchard today, 8 catches for 152 yards and a couple of TDs. It's not bad work.
Well, you know, a lot of people touting Rocket Ismail of Notre Dame for the Heisman Trophy, but I believe that Pritchard has just as many all-purpose yards as the Rocket does, if not more. Now the Buffs defense trying to get the crowd into this ball game, waving their arms at the crowd, and you can hear the noise has picked up. 1st and 10 from the 20 for the Cowboys. Kenny Ford can't hear anything, and he's asking the official for a timeout.
That's just going to make it worse. Official gave him the chance to regroup and go back, and of course they can penalize the home team, but that's going to make things a lot worse. The referee, John Laurie, out of Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, that just eggs on the crowd.
Orange Bowl starting to be chanted by the CU crowd. Actually, they were chanting that before the game even started. I wonder how many TV sets were glued to last week's game in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, you might have just seen Canavis McGee was hopping around hugging his teammates as if to say, hey, we got this one. We're going to the Orange Bowl. Hand off to Hudson. Terry Johnson is there, as well as a number of his teammates, and Hudson is brought down for a gain of 2.
Colorado starting to substitute frequently. Get some of the guys that don't get a chance to play some action.
Leonard Renfro on the defensive line is in.
Also Dwayne Davis, free safety, is in. David Gibbs is in the football game. And Jeff Bruner, the nose guard.
2nd and 8 for OSU. Ford over the middle. Intercepted by Gibbs. Down to the 20-yard line.
Well, David Gibbs is a guy that really, during his career here at Colorado, has made a point of being in the right place at the right time. He doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't blow coverages. And this time, the ball overthrown, and Gibbs in correct position to make the play. And the key thing here, he catches the ball. Doesn't knock it down or lose control of it. Catches the football up the sideline, and Colorado is in great shape on the 22-yard line. Gibbs lost his starting job this year to Deion Figures. You can see what happens to the quarterback after he gets rid of the football. Kenny Ford takes one right in the chops from Alfred Williams.
Eric Bieniemy up the middle. And into the end zone. Oklahoma State must feel like it's been hit with a tidal wave of black and gold.
Well, the key play in the second half, the fake field goal, which didn't work. Colorado scores in the next play. They come back and score after the next turnover by the Cowboys on the errant pass, and Bieniemy up through the middle, legs kicking, churning, runs out of the arms of Terry Henley and into the end zone, and the Buffs are off to the races.
A combination of OSU coming apart at the seams and the Buffs kicking it up a notch.
Just knocking white jerseys off the football, and Bieniemy with a nice cutback, and he's so strong you're not going to be able to bring him down with an arm tackle. The scoring drive, another short one, almost as short as the last one for 8 seconds. This one took 6 seconds. They scored 14 points in 14 seconds. Pretty good average.
Buffs kicking off. Fielded at the 2. Scott Harmon is brought down at about the 20. There are flags on the field.
And this one's going to be against the Cowboys, I believe. That'll back them up.
Just what they needed, huh?
Bieniemy 21 carries for 114 yards.
Clipping on the return. First down.
And as we told you, when Bieniemy rushes for over 100 yards, the Buffs are 17-3. When this team runs the football effectively, it's a very difficult club to beat. They've got a good defense. It's not a defense you can come from behind a lot against because they put good pressure on the quarterback, and it's tough to establish anything on the ground. So you fall behind CU, it's tough to make up it.
OSU, that's Vernon Brown. And Gary Howe brings him down. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Cowboys. Boy, how quickly the tide has turned here in CU's favor. Then again, we've seen that happen against Oklahoma and Nebraska in the previous 2 weeks. Just an explosion from the Buffs. Kenny Ford on the quarterback draw. A gain of 3. And Leonard Renfro wrestles him to the ground.
Kenny Ford, an able runner, but Oklahoma State is such a beaten team that you watch Kenny Ford, once he breaks the line of scrimmage, he's looking for a place to get out. There's not a lot of avenues up in there. Colorado doing a good job of maintaining their lanes when they rush the quarterback, and if you do that, the quarterback draw is not a play that's likely to succeed.
3rd and 6 for the Cowboys from their own 14. 5:15 to go in this 3rd quarter. Sideline pattern to Curtis Mayfield, complete. But he's well short of the first down. In fact, he only gained 1 yard on the play.
Ford back, and he's forced to slide to his left and then to throw the ball over Gary Howe, and Mayfield, covered by Gibbs, is well short of that first down, and that play caused by the pressure making that quarterback move and have to throw over the defensive lineman.
Harry Blanchard the punt. Dave McClure will return it. It's off a nice one. McLuhan back at his 34. Has some room.
Ooh.
I think he just set a high jump record, Dave. And he's in OSU territory at the 44-yard line. A 51-yard punt and a 22-yard return for McLuhan. Well, they worked on their punting unit all week, and it certainly paid off today.
I think you're, well, take a look at Dave McLuhan. This is called up and over. McLuhan's got great ability. He leaps over the top of the Cowboy, and of course he leads the Big 8 in punt returns. Colorado's first-team offense still on the field, and I think they're taking no chances. And Oklahoma State, the winner the last 3 times here in Boulder, won't happen today.
Eric Bieniemy, one man to get by. Finally brought down, and only because he ran into his own man at the 10-yard line. I think another thing, Dave, they might want to run up the score a bit because they are shooting for that mythical national championship.
Yeah, that too. You want to take any doubt of any voters' minds that they might have, and of course you're going to see some points on the board. Bieniemy, a nice cut block there by Garton, and Eric's into the secondary, and the only choice he has is which direction to run. Everything is open. He pulls away from an arm tackle, tries to lift his feet out of that tackle. Bieniemy closing in on the 150-yard mark.
First and 10 for the Buffs from their own 10. Hagan looking for his tight end again, picked off in the end zone. He wanted Sean Brown, but there were 2 defenders there sandwiching Brown, and one of them picks off the ball. It was Richie Ansley.
Pretty good catch by Ansley. Hagan that time didn't get great depth on the pitch, and he was almost at the line of scrimmage, which made him decide to throw it maybe a little before he wanted to. Ansley with the left hand. It's not a bad catch for a linebacker. So the Buffs lose an opportunity to jump over the 40-point mark. I'm sure based on the way the game's gone, they'll have others.
We have a lot of time left, a lot of points still to be scored. There's 4:24 left in the third quarter. But with all this debate going on, with who's number 1 and who will be number 1 after New Year's Day, the bigger the Buffs win by, the better they look when the voters go to the polls on Sunday night. Gerald Hudson racked up for a loss of 4 yards.
And the entire Buff second-team defense is now in the game. All the starters have been taken out. And it's good because these guys practice as hard as the first-team players. Gary Howe's still in the game, the only starter, but they have to practice just as hard as Howe now is taken out. And nice to see them get a chance to play.
Second unit on the sideline right now. Backup quarterback Charles Johnson doing a little throwing, warming up. 2nd and 14. Ford finds Fisher at the 24. Gain of 8. Still a ways to go for a first down.
And now Dave McLuhan's going to leave the field too.
Gibbs in the ball game for the Buffs. Eric Hamilton at 1 defensive back. Number 43, Rob Hutchins in at linebacker. Dwayne Davis, a defensive back.
Tate Nelson, a free safety.
Ronnie Bradford in the ball game at another safety. 3rd and 5 for OSU. Nice move by Ford to get outside. And he has the first down. Terry Johnson brings him down.
We're talking about the second-team defense. You know, with the season progressing the way that it has, and the close games and the inability of the CU defense to keep people out of the end zone early, hey, these guys haven't had much of a chance, if any, to play. They played some against Kansas as Colorado got their first lead of the year. But other than that, it hasn't been much fun watching on the sideline.
Quite a difference from last year when the Buffs would blow everybody out and that second unit would be in the ball game by the 3rd quarter. But they're still winning, and that's what matters. 1st and 10 from the 32. Ford going deep. He's got Kirksey, but Kirksey can't keep his feet and goes out of bounds. But they're deep into CU territory at the 36-yard line.
I'll tell you, that looked like a jailbreak in the sideline. You had guys, watch this. You got guys running the sideline, and when the quarterback breaks contain, they turn up the field. Both of them turn up. You've got two receivers pretty much in the same area. Nice catch by Kirksey. And he would have scored had he been able to stay in bounds.
First and 10 for OSU from the CU 36. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Buffs lead 38-7. That's Hudson. Hit hard at the 35-yard line. Got maybe 1 yard.
And a good play by that guy, David Gibbs. We told you about being in the right place at the right time. That time from the corner, you come up, you force, and you wait for that bounce out. You wait for Hudson to bounce to the outside. If he runs between the tackles, you're not going to have a shot. But Gibbs, right where he should be, he waits for Hudson, and Hudson runs right into it.
Charles Johnson in the ball game now for OSU. You know, conceivably, we could have 3 Charles Johnsons in this game. CU has 2 of them, and OSU has 1. 2nd and 9 for the Cowboys. Forward, a nice pass to Kirksey, and another first down to the 22. Kirksey's 4th catch on the day. Ronnie Bradford made the tackle.
Well, the Cowboys now just trying to get some semblance of an attack. They've been frustrated by the CU defense. Kirksey just with a nice hook pattern, and before the secondary coverage inside can get there, the ball beats him, and of course Bradford makes the tackle. As a quarterback, you wait for help from that safety or linebackers to get in the passing lanes, and that time he didn't get it.
First down for OSU at the Buffs 22. Less than 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Hudson gets away from 1 tackler inside the 20 to the 19. Gain of 3. And Brian Diet in the ball game now from Pomona High School. Diet makes the tackle.
Got an injured Cowboy on the field.
Scott Webb is the man that's down. A fine right tackle. Offensive lineman for OSU.
You can see what's happened on the ground as Bieniemy has doubled Hudson. Of course, Bieniemy's running behind a better offensive line, and Hudson's running against a better defense. Both players are excellent. You see Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if he's got a shot at the Heisman. I would hope so, because I think he deserves a shot. But you have to get a lot of publicity. It's almost a popularity contest. Lots of voters in the East. And I think Ty Detmer, with his performance against Miami on national television early this year, really gained a big advantage.
I have a Heisman vote, and I'm still undecided. I'm leaning towards Ty Detmer, and I'll certainly give Bieniemy some consideration. And if anybody wants to call me and tell me why Eric Bieniemy should be the Heisman Trophy winner, I'll certainly listen and consider it.
Give me your number.
Okay. 2nd down and 7 for OSU from the 19-yard line. There's a screen to Hudson. Nice spin move. Down to the 11-yard line. That is a first down.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, Hudson, he's got Gumby legs. What a great move. David Gibbs has Hudson in his sights, a screen throwback. Gibbs will come from the right side. He'll run past the blocker. Here he comes. Watch this move. The legs just spin, and the cutback. He reminds me a lot of Barry Sanders. He hops into cuts, kind of like Bieniemy. They don't seem to lose a lot of speed when they have to make a cut.
You've compared him to Sanders a few times today, and like Barry Sanders, he is very quiet off the field. 1st and 10 from the 11. Less than a minute to go in the quarter. Ford himself down to the 6-yard line. Gain of about 5, and Tim James stops him.
I'll tell you, there aren't a lot of guys that can make cuts like Bieniemy and Hudson, and you just don't find guys like. You find people with great speed, you find folks with terrific power, but to make cuts like we've seen today, that's God-given ability.
Hudson upholding a fine legacy of running backs at Oklahoma State. Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas with the Buffalo Bills, Terry Miller.
Yeah.
2nd and 5 for the Cowboys. That's the fullback Wilson down to the 3. And that might be the last play of the quarter. Clock winding down, less than 5 seconds. And the gun will go off. We'll go to the other side of the field for the final quarter of play. The Buffs lead it 38-7. 3rd quarter.
And they really took advantage of a couple of mistakes by the Cowboys, and that's what good teams will do. They run a fake punt, they stop them, Colorado scores in the first play. You come back, you throw an interception, Colorado scores on the first play. If you try things like that, the gadget plays and you don't succeed, good teams make you pay. You look at the stats, the Buffaloes with 21 first downs, almost 200 yards rushing. A good day passing. Pritchard's had over 150 yards of receptions and over 400 yards in 3 quarters. Last year against a better Oklahoma State team, they put 450 on the board in Stillwater.
Dave, you and I have talked about this. Have you ever seen such violent momentum swings as the Buffs have been through against Oklahoma, then Nebraska, and now Oklahoma State?
I'll tell you, no, I haven't, and I really think that alone has seasoned this team. It makes this a better team than what Buff fans were used to last year because they are used to coming back. They're used to tough times. They don't give in, and they have truly been tested this year by a number of fine football teams.
Start of the 4th quarter. OSU 3rd down and 2 from the Buffs 3-yard line. Pass into the end zone, incomplete. Curtis Mayfield was the intended receiver.
Good job by Ronnie Bradford. Mayfield's a big guy, and the ball a little bit underthrown, but Bradford, with the contact, fights him to the outside right there and hustles back and really closes the cushion enough to prevent the catch.
Ronnie Bradford, 5'11", 175-pound sophomore. He hails from Commerce City.
That's a good play. Ball's got to be over the outside shoulder of the receiver, and that time was underthrown.
4th down, and the Cowboys are going to go for it. 4th and 2 from the 4. That was Ford down to the goal line. And he has the first down. I think he has it.
No signal of the touchdown.
He does have it.
Got the first down. We talked about Kenny Ford and his running ability, and this is a quarterback draw again. It's probably been the most effective play the Cowboys have had the last 3 or 4 games. Good blocking up front. The initial hit inside by the linebacker, and that was Rob Hutchins, but he stretched forward enough for the first down, and now it will be 1st and goal inside the 1.
Well, you have to give OSU some credit here. They're getting killed, but they're not giving up. 1st and goal. Full house backfield. The pitch to Hudson, and he's in, standing up.
Well, a nice drive, albeit one against the Colorado 2nd team defense, but you're right, Oklahoma State has not given up. They play hard, and Hudson's a guy, again, that has just terrific vision. Nice little stutter step here. The cut inside the kick-out block. Good block by Wilson, and nobody touches Gerald Hudson as he crosses the goal line. That's the Cowboys' 2nd touchdown. That came after Colorado had scored 31 straight points.
That's Hudson's 9th touchdown of the year. He has 7 of them just in the last 3 weeks. And they're going for 2 points. Why not? Ford will throw it. And he has his man, Kirksey. The 2-point conversion is good. And the score with 14:24 left in the game is CU 38 and Oklahoma State 15.
Bounce. Make it hop up in the air. And Blanchard's a pretty good kicker.
Making no bones about it. Now they're going back into usual formation, and Blanchard kicks it to Pritchard, but the ball goes out of bounds, and a flag goes up in the air.
Maybe should have kicked the onside.
A high kick.
Wow.
It'll still be taken by Pritchard at the 23. Spin move up across the 40 to the 43. Well, let's go down to the field to Mark McIntosh. Mark?
Thank you very much, Les. We're trying to see who's coming on the field, whether it's the first or second team, and it looks like it will be the second team for the CU Buffs. For a while there, it looked like they were going to put the first team back in the ballgame. We were talking to some of the people along the bench, and they said if Oklahoma State scored again, the Buffs would go with the first team. It looks like Bill McCartney has had a change of heart. He has put the second team offensive unit in the ballgame. Back upstairs.
All right, so Charles Johnson, the 165-pound junior from Michigan, is your quarterback right now. And he gives the ball to Chuck Snowden, the young man from Fairview High School right here in Boulder.
We talked about the second team defense not having much of a chance to play. Same thing for these guys, because CU has been behind in so many games that there haven't been many substitutes playing on offense either. So I think this is good, a chance to get a lot of guys in the game, get them seasoned. A lot of players you see out on the field now for Colorado, you're going to see next year in starting roles.
We'll pick up some names and numbers for you as we go along. James Hill in the game at running back, Chucky Snowden in, John Bowman, normally the starting tight end, getting some badly needed work. That was Snowden across the 45.
Now, Chuck Snowden next year, should he replace Eric Bieniemy, and there are several candidates for that job. He's a much different player. He's a slashing type runner. He's a long strider. He's not the little quick burst player like Bieniemy is. But I think he's going to be a player that really CU fans will enjoy watching.
Well, here's one that'll throw you. We've got Charles Johnson at quarterback, and we have Charles Johnson at wide receiver. How about a CJ to CJ play here?
Maybe.
Charles Johnson, the quarterback, is brought down for no gain at the 46-yard line. And it'll be 4th down, and the Buffs will have to punt.
Ironically, on that play, Charles Johnson, the receiver, ran a flag pattern, and I thought CJ, the quarterback, was looking to get him the ball.
He looked like the primary receiver. Tom Ruin back to punt in the shadows of Folsom Field. In fact, practically the whole field is now covered by shadow. Ruin with a nice kick. He's certainly broken out of his slump. It bounds back into the end zone. A punt of 54 yards, 55 yards, call it, no return. And Oklahoma State will start with it at its own 20. Lamar Gray in at linebacker for the Buffs. Paul Rose at linebacker. Leonard Renfro in at one end. That's an impressive statistic. In each of the last 23 games the Buffs have played, they have scored 20 or more points. 1st and 10 from the 20. Kenny Ford still in the ballgame for Oklahoma State, and so is the man with the ball, Gerald Hudson. He gets 4 yards before Rob Hutchins and Leonard Renfro bring him to the turf.
Talking about the CU offense and the production they've had the last 23 games, the last team to score over 40 points, the only team to score over 40 points in the last 5 years, and they did it twice, these very same Oklahoma State Cowboys. And I'm sure Bill McCartney and his staff remembered that, and the players as well, coming into today's game.
Now, this year is an aberration for OSU. They've had 2 straight losing seasons, but before that, Pat Jones in the 1980s has had them ranked 11th in 2 years. That pass incomplete. 11th in 2 years, 1987 and 88 when Barry Sanders played there. And in 1984, Pat Jones had them ranked 7th in the nation. So they've had some problems. This year they've been hit hard by injuries.
And the probation has hurt them.
The probation probably more than anything.
Question about it, the recruiting has been affected, and good players, guys that envision themselves as playing for a national contender, do not cherish the idea of going to a school that's not going to be on TV or in a bowl for a couple of years.
Right, they're on 3 years probation. They're not allowed in a bowl game for 3 years. And they're not allowed on TV for 2 years, not live TV. By the way, that is why we are on a delayed basis with this game. That pass complete to Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield has shown us some moves. Do you think he's got a shot in the NFL?
I don't know, because I haven't seen him play enough to tell you the truth. He's been impressive here today. The quarterback, after he releases the football, is a guy that usually stands as wide open, and he got sandwiched on that one. The dig pattern, Mayfield on a low throw, Mayfield doesn't get hit, but I can tell you the quarterback did. This is what happens to guys after they throw it. Whack. Not bad. Not a bad hit.
Something else to keep in mind, a reason for OSU's decline. The year Barry Sanders left 2 years ago, he left as a junior. The whole offensive line left. Hartley Dykes graduated. And they went on probation. That pass broken up, intended for Mayfield. He was hit hard by Dwayne Davis right in the back.
Davis is a guy that really fits the mold of CU safeties the last couple of years. He's bigger than most safeties. Got very good speed, 6 feet, 200 pounds. Out of Gulfport, Mississippi. You can see him shake the ball loose.
.11:09 left to go in this ball game. Going through the Orange Bowl motions right now. 38-15, the Buffs lead it. A win here, and they are off to the Orange Bowl. They'll wrap up the Big 8 title for the 2nd year in a row. That pass, a screen intended for Gerald Hudson, incomplete. Ford not very happy with himself. He overthrew his man.
Well, a nice little underneath pattern. Hudson delays before he breaks out. He lets the defensive lineman run past him, and just a simple throw. Just get the ball to him, and Hudson picks up the first down.
Next week, the Buffs finish their season against Kansas State right here at Folsom Field. We'll have the game for you live on Channel 4. It's 3rd and 10 for OSU. Lamar Gray putting the pressure on and brings his man down. Plus a penalty flag. You're probably going to get a grounding call. OSU will punt. Blanchard will do it. And Rico Smith will field it. End over end. Smith chases it down at the 33. Wants to go wide. Is going the wrong way. Is able to turn the corner and make something good out of it. Pushed out of bounds inside the 45-yard line of OSU. Rico Smith went a long way, but it was well worth it.
I'll tell you, when you have speed like he does, you just firmly believe you can get to the corner. He catches it here right on the numbers and runs. Watch how far he runs backwards to make it to the corner. Rico Smith at the 25. He's actually inside the 25 before he turns. He gets a nice block there. That's just great speed. He's down the sideline. Another good block, and save for one tackle. It was a touchdown for Colorado.
A 20-yard return. He's been alternating today at punt returning with Dave McLuhan, and both have done a very fine job. Timeout on the field. Officials timeout.
Yeah, the chain game was not appropriately set. They hadn't stretched the yard marker to 10 yards.
I think they've lost interest.
I think they were knocked down by Rico Smith's tackler.
All right, here we go. 1st and 10 from the Oklahoma State 47-yard line. 10.5 minutes to go in the game. Snowden down to the 43. Give him 4 yards there. Greg Monday in the ball game now for Oklahoma State. He made the tackle.
Second offensive line in the game. Greg Lose, Roger Ivy. Jim Hansen is in the game.
David Brown in at tight end. 2nd and 6 from the 43. That's Snowden again. Fights his way down to the 40. Chuck picks up another 3 yards. He'll be short of the first down, excuse me. Scott Harmon brought him down.
You know, Colorado is a team not leading the Big 8 in any one category except punt returns. They're 3rd in rushing, 3rd in total offense, 2nd in rush defense, 3rd in scoring defense. It's just an all-around good team. Very good players, and they understand what it takes to win games now. Where maybe last year they weren't challenged as much as this year.
And we knew it would be a good all-around team with some very good individual players. They just got off to a slow start, 1-1-1. But since then, they've won 7 in a row, about to make it 8 in a row. Charles Johnson kept that ball and got the first down for the Buffs, down to the 37.
And the Cowboys, as they did in the first quarter, gambling virtually in every play. They're blitzing the linebackers. Of course, Pat Jones, kind of humorous at halftime as he told Mark McIntosh, hey, that's not going to change. We've got the blitz to pretty much have a chance. Orange Bowl earrings.
There's a holiday gift idea.
That's right.
A good look at Eric Bieniemy. I believe he's going to get a rest for the final 9 minutes and 15 seconds of this game, and it's a well-deserved rest. Leading rusher in the nation, and today he didn't hurt himself at all. 1st and 10 from the 37. That's Snowden again. He's been the workhorse this drive. Picks up a couple yards before Joe King crowns him.
No pun intended.
Absolutely not.
Colorado, the first team in the Big 8 Conference to win back-to-back championships other than Oklahoma and Nebraska ever.
It's the first time they've ever done it in the Big 8. They did it before they were a member of the Big 8. They won their conference back-to-back. But this is the first time in this conference.
Got to get those red hats off, fellas. Hey, not many people have left the stadium, even though the game certainly is out of doubt.
3rd and 6 for the Buffs from the Cowboys 32. 7:45 to go. Charles Johnson going deep. He had his man Lindsey open, but he overthrows him. Greg Lindsey, the intended receiver, a 6'1", 200-pound freshman redshirt from California.
And he is another candidate at wingback. He's a very gifted athlete. You'll see him in the next few years.
This is a deep team, especially at running back. James Hill is back. Chucky Snowden will be back. David Arterberry. Matt Bell, who is on suspension right now, should be back next year. Greg Lindsey will be back. They lose Simmons, Bieniemy, and Hemingway. Harper. Wow. That was one of the oddest field goals I've ever seen. It goes through a line drive, but it counts. Doesn't matter how pretty or ugly it is, and the Buffs go up 41-15. With 7:36 to go in the ball game. Harper kicking off right now. And it's Scott Harmon and Clark letting it go. So Oklahoma State once again will start at its own 20, and the wind is really whipping up down on the field. I'm sure that's affecting a lot of those touch passes that Ford and OSU have been trying to throw this second half.
I'll tell you something else has been affecting them. There have been guys in gold helmets all over the quarterback, black jerseys all over the receivers. It's been a good day for the Colorado defense.
I'll bet that had something to do with it. Ford still at quarterback. It's a new man in the ball game. Vernon Brown with a flag on the field. Brown gained a couple. Let's see what the flag is all about. Ronnie Woolfolk in the ball game at linebacker for the Buffs now. Made the tackle.
Dead ball. Personal foul.
Personal foul in Colorado.
First down.
Brown tries to bounce to the outside. Ronnie Woolfolk, who was initially recruited as a quarterback out of Michigan, played a little basketball last year. Couldn't tell from that angle as to where the penalty was. You can tell from that angle the wind's blowing here in Boulder.
I think Jeff Bruner was called for a late hit there. He's in the ball game for Joel Steed at nose tackle. Bruner, the freshman from Sterling. 1st and 10 for OSU at the 33. Ford has his man Mayfield, but can't get the ball to him. Mayfield was open, but the pass thrown short. OSU still with a lot of first stringers in the game.
Take a look at Gary Howe. Hey, signing autographs. Used to be Oklahoma and Nebraska. They were signing autographs during the game only. Of course, Oklahoma, some of their guys were eating hot dogs during the game.
Does the coaching staff know about this, Mr. Howe? Are you allowed to do that, Dave?
Well, I don't know.
Yes, only if nobody catches you, I guess. 2nd and 10 from the 33. Forward, the pitch to Hudson. Nice move up across the 40. Boy, he's got some quick feet, doesn't he?
Yeah, they call them happy feet. Things are always, they're never in one place. They just bounce up and down, right, left, bounces back inside. Does a good job of setting up his block by the wide receiver. Pritchard, Rico Smith, Harry Johnson. Probably talking about where they'll stay in Miami.
A few guys with shaved heads here. It's a recent phenomenon. Hey, if I lose any more, I'm going to consider that. 3rd and 2 from the 41. That's Hudson again. Tries to get to the sideline. Can't. He's very close to the first down. Maybe a few inches short.
Yeah, he's going to be a little short. Nice tackle that time by Ronnie Bradford, who came from the corner. Bradford will have contained from the bottom of the screen. He waits for Hudson to come outside. Watch the shoestring tackle here. Hold your position. Head up. It's a good tackle on a very good running back. They're going to measure, but I think they're going to be a little bit short. Actually, no question, they're going to be about the length of the football short.
Well, we'll find out in a second here. This has been one long celebration here this afternoon, ever since the Buffs exploded in the 3rd quarter. That's why everybody's sticking around. They're waiting for that orange rain, that orange shower after the game. I'm sure Coach McCartney will be hoisted on top of some shoulders, carried off the field. What a job he's done in the last few years turning this program around.
I was just going to say, and I don't know how many times I've said this, 1984, this was a club that won but one time. And they did so because an Iowa State kicker missed a 23-yard field goal. To think where they've been and where they've come to is remarkable.
And that's why Bill McCartney was able to sign a 15-year contract before this season started. 4th and 1. OSU is going for it. And they give it to Cecil Wilson. And he's going to be close to the first down. I believe he's got it.
Yeah, he got it. He didn't get it by much. He leaned up in there and across the 43-yard line. That's where he had to go.
Yeah, ever since Cecil Fielder came onto the scene in baseball, every time I see somebody's name spelled C-E-C-I-L, I want to call him Cecil. But this is Cecil Wilson. Tough young man, 226 pounds. And that's his job, to pick up those first downs. And it's 1st and 10 from the 43. Getting a bit chilly here at Folsom Field. Screen pass is complete. Down to the Buffs' 46-yard line. Vernon Brown made the catch. Richard Fisher made the tackle.
And now, if you're Bill McCartney, you just want this game to get over. Get everybody off the field, hopefully having suffered no injuries, no serious injuries. Got a chance to play some young players and give them extensive time. And you also won the Big 8 Conference Championship.
First and 10 for OSU on the Buffs' 46-yard line. That's Hudson. Inside the 40, down to the 37, call it. Gain of 9. And another first down. Four and a half minutes to go in this game. The Buffs lead it 41-15. Just a little while longer and this stadium should erupt. Orange is splattering in the backfield of OSU right now, and that's why we have a timeout on the field. Right before the snap to the quarterback Ford, an orange splattered in front of the fullback.
That's stupid. Don't do that. That makes no sense. You get one of those guys out there hurt.
We're going to replay the down, second down.
You hit him. If you hit him with an orange, that's not smart. Notre Dame, of course, stayed at #1 today as they beat Tennessee 34-29 in Knoxville in front of 93,000. So I would say the chances of seeing Notre Dame and Colorado in the Orange Bowl January 1st have increased dramatically after today's games.
Notre Dame still with a couple of tough games left. Penn State and I believe USC, is that right?
That's right.
That's Wilson, the fullback. A nice hole for him, and he gets it inside the 20. OSU showing a lot of pride.
Pat Jones called him the toughest player he's ever had in the program. I can tell you this, nobody wants to hit him when he breaks to the line of scrimmage. Here's 226 pounds, and he's running straight ahead. Watch Tate Nelson, free safety. Just runs right through the arm tackle. He's one of those guys that you want to get going sideways. Once he gets going straight ahead, you want to get out of his way.
1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. 3.5 minutes to go. Ford, sideline pattern to Kirksey, and he's in for the score. That's a touchdown. Robert Kirksey.
Well, Tate Nelson tried to cover his free safety spot and might have knocked the ball away from Kersey, but he whiffed. Kersey was up in the air, the same pattern they scored on earlier. The wide receiver releases the cornerback. Cornerback has short coverage. Tate Nelson in the middle of the screen, number 37. He breaks in the ball, but watch when the ball gets there. He just whiffed him. He missed him completely. I think for a second Nelson had ideas about trying to intercept the ball and then decided not to and didn't get a hit on him at all.
Extra point is good. Boy, Kirksey's done a good job of adjusting to the ball, coming back for it if it's underthrown, turning around if it's to the opposite side. And Oklahoma State with a few more points on the board, but CU still leads it 41-22. Charles E. Johnson will field it at the 8, not the quarterback, the wide receiver. And he gets it up across the 30. That's Charles E. Johnson, the wide receiver out of San Bernardino, California. He's a freshman. 3:18 to go in the ball game. CU has it wrapped up. They have the Big 8 title wrapped up for the 2nd year in a row. They have a trip to the Orange Bowl wrapped up. And now we start to wonder who they will play on New Year's Day in Miami, Florida. With the Notre Dame win today, a lot of people are betting on the Irish. If Notre Dame loses any of its last 2 games, you might be looking at the Miami Hurricane. Vance Joseph now in the ball game at quarterback for the Buffs. He's the freshman out of New Orleans. Keeps the ball, no gain.
Of course, they used Johnson's redshirt year a couple of games ago when Hagan was injured and then CJ went down. They played him a series or 2. He's going to be a good quarterback. His brother Mickey Joseph, the quarterback at Nebraska. Vance, I think, has better passing ability than Mickey and will probably turn into be just as good a runner.
Under 2:45 to go. It's 2nd and 9. That's Arterberry. Takes a couple hits, still standing, finally pushed out of bounds.
Get out of bounds, David.
Well, it's his first rush of the day. He wants to make the most out of it. David Arterberry from Mullen High School.
Gets sledgehammered about 5 times before he goes out of bounds. He's a strong kid.
6'2", 200 pounds. Who do you want to see, Dave? You want to see CU go against Notre Dame again on New Year's Day?
Absolutely.
Who would you rather see him play, Notre Dame or Miami?
Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be ranked #1 if they continue to win. Colorado could be ranked #2 after today.
Who do you think CU would have a tougher time beating, Notre Dame or Miami?
Miami.
Because
like a home game for Miami. Plus
holding.
Throw the ball.
Offense. The penalties declined. Third down.
Miami presents so many problems for on natural surface. It's too many things to overcome, even for a good team. I think Colorado could beat Miami, but I think they'd struggle more against the Hurricanes than any other team.
3rd and 8 for the Buffs at their own 33. Joseph keeps it up to the 39, gain of 6. Well, Oklahoma State with this loss will fall to 3-7 on the year, 1-5 in the Big 8 Conference. Right now they are tied with Missouri for last place in the Big 8.
Colorado ought to change surfaces more often. They changed this surface last summer in '89. They were 6-0 at home last year. They're fixing to be 5-0 this year with Kansas State next week. Let's tear it up after next week and put a new one down.
4th and 2 for the Buffs. As long as you pay for it, I think they'd like that idea. Ruin is punting to Clark. And he is down at the 27-yard line. A lot of nice things happened for the Buffs today besides the win. Tom Ruin back to his early season form, punting. Darian Hagan looks healthy, moved the Buffs very well. We came into the game, and the marquee attraction was the 2 fine running backs for both teams, and Eric Bieniemy and Gerald Hudson didn't disappoint us. Bieniemy, 22 carries, 148 yards. Hudson, 20 carries and 91 yards. He is out of the game right now. Vernon Brown is in a tailback for OSU. 1:41 to go. And the screen to Brown. Across the 30, across the 40, and down at the 44. A gain of 17 yards. Ronnie Woolfork in the game for the Buffs at linebacker. There's an interesting story. Recruited as a quarterback. They had a glut at quarterback. Moved to linebacker, and a lot of scouts are saying with a couple more years at that position, he could be one heck of an LB.
He's a good athlete, no question about it. You can see the screen pass to Brown. Gray tries to chase him down. Hutchins finally nails him. And Lamar Gray, who dove for him, is still down in the field. Senior linebacker out of Pomona, California. Winds it up next week right here against Kansas State, an improved Wildcat team. Certainly not as good as Colorado, but
this is the second time today Lamar Gray has gone down, and I wonder if he just re-injured whatever he hurt the first time around.
He might have. He looks to be in quite a bit of pain. Kansas State likes to throw the ball. Snyder's done a good job in really trying to get that thing turned around. It's been back in the 70s since the Wildcats were really competitive, back in Steve Grogan and Mac Herron's days.
That's long before my time, Dave. I faintly recognize those names.
Steve Grogan. Plays for the Patriots. What a team that is.
Under the 130 mark. Buffs lead at 41-22. The few fans left in the stands trying to start the wave, and it's not working very well. That's Rob Hutchins putting the pressure on. Rose with the interception. He's got an open highway to the end zone. Ford, the quarterback, slows him down, brings him down at the 13-yard line.
What a nice play by Paul Rose. They tried to get the inside screen, and Rose just fell back into the passing lane. That's the 3rd interception of the day for Colorado. Rose came from his outside linebacker spot, just cut in front of the receiver, and off to the races. And a good job of chasing him down by the quarterback. Otherwise, Paul Rose would have scored. Good, smart play.
I made a mistake on the man who put the pressure on the quarterback Ford. It was not Hutchins. It was number 39, Jeff Bruner, the freshman out of Sterling. Vance Joseph lines up over center. The Buffs have it 1st and 10 on the 13-yard line. Joseph keeps it for no gain.
Darian Hagan with the baseball cap on. You know the game's in hand when the baseball caps come out. When those guys start wearing those baseball caps, it's all over.
Yeah, that's where Darian Hagan's future might be also, in organized baseball. Well, what we've been telling you all day, today's win clinches the Orange Bowl berth for the CU Buffs. Vance Joseph again, helter-skelter, brought down at the 10, a gain of 3. Less than 20 seconds to go now.
That's going to do it.
That was the last play of the ball game. Well, Dave, I know you're swelling with pride as a CU graduate. When you were here, you didn't get to go to the Orange Bowl. You did go to a bowl game or two. But back-to-back Orange Bowls has got to be kind of hard to believe.
Well, it's really a statement of what Bill McCartney and his staff have done the last few years. They've recruited great athletes. They've worked hard, and they've done it the right way. They've done it fairly.
As you see Bill McCartney saunter off the field, we'll go to a break. Then come back to wrap it up.